Hi everyone, welcome to Devlog 9 for the game I've been making, and the first thing I want to talk about is that I'm going to stop calling it the game I've been making and start calling it by its title. And what I've decided is that the title is now Labyrinth Lesmosyne, and I'm going to explain what Lesmosyne means. Lesmosyne is another name for Lethe, which is one of the rivers of the underworld in Hades in ancient Greek mythology. It's kind of a counterpart to Mnemosyne, in that both figures are both rivers and also personifications with the same name. So Mnemosyne is the river of memory, and also the goddess of memory is the personification of it. And Lethe, or Lesmosyne, is a river of forgetfulness. So the idea was that they would drink from it in order to forget their current life and be prepared for the next life. And I don't mean to suggest by borrowing this word for my title that my game is particularly Greek mythology based, though some of it might slip in. But I think that word really fits the themes of memory that are going on in the game. So the labyrinth, the dungeon in my game, stop calling it that, Labyrinth Lesmosyne, is literally a dungeon that makes people forget, essentially. I'll go into it more when I talk more about like the plot and story of the game once it's more developed, but I think it's very, very fitting for what I have in mind. Now, I did sit on this name for a few weeks. I mentioned it in a devlog a few weeks ago, and I thought about it, and I asked for feedback on it. Some people gave the feedback that because they don't know what Lesmosyne means, that it wouldn't be as easy to remember. I think there's tons of fantasy games with made-up words in them, so if I borrow one from mythology, I think that should be okay. And I think the fact that it's an alliteration will help. I don't think people need to know what every word in a title means for it to sound intriguing, and I sat on it and I still like it, so I'm naming it this. If I could talk about the logo for a bit, it's a work in progress. I want it to be more readable. I would love some feedback on whether it's readable, but the idea is that it's a dungeon map, like a top-down, like grid-based dungeon map, and I thought because it's got the same number of letters in both words, it's going to be kind of a rectangular logo, and then I can kind of build letters out of the negative space in the dungeon map, but you have like stairs here and then like passages that go along and rooms, and it kind of sells the idea of it being a dungeon crawler. The logo's not final, but the name probably is. I still like it, so that's what I'm going to call it from now on. And if people are going to watch, I didn't want to have them not know what game we're even talking about, right? Like, I wanted to put the name out there because I'm tired of putting my devlogs under the title Untitled Godot RPG, and I found a name I'm happy with. I hope people like it. Would really love feedback on whether the logo is readable, though. The next thing I want to talk about is the most recent thing I've coded. I just finished it before recording here, so it's not complete yet, but it's now possible to use items from the pause menu. So if I just step into these spikes here and I get hurt, maybe I'll step into a few of them. Well, that one's already out. And then I go into the pause menu and I've lost some health. So now I have an item menu that I can select items from and use them on my party. So, I mean, there's a few things that aren't complete, like all I have is these single target items, the potion and the mega potion. I'm going to have probably some multi-target items that just affect everybody, and then items that don't affect anybody specifically, just items that you use generally. And probably like a pocket for key items, things like that. But going into your menu, using them, having the count of your inventory count down, having the health values update right away, that all works. So that's the base for that menu. And again, keep in mind the UI is ugly on purpose because I didn't design it yet. I'm just working on functionality, but we got that in. Another thing I worked on this week was making some new assets for dungeons and buildings, in particular some brick textures, because I was working off of these ones over here. You can see with smaller bricks on them. And I have this gray one just as a test all over the map, and I realized I could recolor them and use them in different places. But I thought that's about as small as I would go, and then I'll have this more medium-sized brick, a large brick, and then this one's got two different sides, and I thought what I might do is turn it into a double wide brick so that the asset is just like 2 cubes wide, and I might make the sort of town walls using that. So I'll be able to recolor these, use them in dungeons. I'm just kind of slowly building up assets that I know I need for the town, but I could also use in different dungeon floors before I really get into like building out my first dungeon floor. And another example of that is these stairs. So I made like this stair first, and then I kind of turned that into like an inner and outer corner that blend together. And then I can use those like in town and dungeon floors, whatever. And I also finished this door, which also has an opening animation. I have this in mind for a particular building in town that I'll show you. So this is a work in progress. It's empty, but it's going to be one of the sort of key buildings in the town. And this is the door I showed with these upside down sort of fork symbols on top. I do have a meaning in mind for that. I think that's a symbol you're going to see a lot in the game. But the idea for the building is that it'd be shaped like that symbol. So you got the two spires on either side and two entrances to it. The left is where you would make use of some kind of services that I think would be similar to the churches in Dragon Quest. I don't think I'm going to necessarily restrict saving to over there, but like maybe relieving curse or something like that, reviving. And then down here, I wanted this to go down into a basement, which I haven't finished or started, but this is where I imagine, and I'm gonna make the doors different. I finished one, and I'm gonna make the whole building more ornate, and I'm blocking out the shape of it. But I imagine a separate entrances where you would go to do like party member fusion and like managing skills and stuff. I kind of imagine this being like a church that deals with fusion, like the symbol with the two forks going up into one path is like two things being combined into one. And then through here, I think will lead to a path that goes down to where the dungeon entrance is, the main dungeon entrance. So, I mean, there's a lot to work on with the building. This is more of a test for like a couple of the assets that I did finish and like scale. And I do think it might be a little too big because I don't know how much you want to like walk all the way there every time. But I'm working on that. Like I said, a lot of the assets I'm like, I need some different bricks and stuff and a door. I have wood stairs. I want stone stairs for this building I had in mind. And a lot of it just so happens is like definitely going to be used in the dungeon itself as well. So one more thing I did this week was take this pixel art of the druid that I have in my game and transform it into digital art. And I think it turned out all right. It was kind of an experiment in seeing if I could reverse engineer pixel art to get concept art, whereas I didn't originally start with a sketch to make the pixel art in the first place. And like, would it be possible to use it for something that's might belong in like a Steam capsule art or something like that? And I put a video on my channel if you want to check me out doing that. I walk through like my experience trying digital art for the first time. I don't think I would use this particular drawing for any official capacity, but I think it was worth trying out those skills, and I think I could use those skills at some point somewhere in my game or outside of my game in its like supporting material. So that video is up on the channel if you want to check it out. Oh, another cool thing happened. I saw a call for submissions for a publisher that makes zines, and they were looking for RPG related submissions. So like, here's all their months for the year, and June was RPGs. They're making a zine about RPGs, everything RPG. And so I reached out, I made a submission, and I was like, sure, I'm making an RPG. It's pretty early on, but shot my shot. And they're called Coin Operated Press. They're based out of Scotland. And I just recently got notice that Labyrinth Lesmosyne is going to be featured in the zine. And if you want to check them out, their website is coinoperatedpress.com. And I bring this up because I think it's cool that they did choose to include my game in the zine. But also because what's funny is the name I had in mind when I did my submission, I told them, and I wasn't sure whether they'd put it in the zine or not. But I kind of was like shooting my shot, and I'm like, well, if they publish it, I'm committed to the name. And it was almost like a coin toss where like you want a certain result. Like I wanted it out there. I don't know how many people see it or what their readership is. It felt like if they're putting it in their publication, then that's the name, and I stuck to it that way. So anyway, check it out, and thanks to them. So yeah, if you want to keep up with the game, see more devlogs, subscribe to the channel, liking the videos helps, as always. And if you want to support the game financially at all, I have tips open on Ko-fi. That's always linked. That also supports me making more pixel art tutorial videos and just things that would be interest to pixel artists, or any other videos I want to do that are targeted towards people developing their own games. And as far as the Ko-fi page goes, tipping is possible, but I'm also thinking of opening commissions. So if you want animations like you're seeing on screen, I would take a commission to do one of them, just as a side project, and also to like get more practice doing them. If you like what you see, I haven't totally worked out the pricing yet, but I'm planning to open up doing commissions like that on Ko-fi. But the easiest thing to do if you like this content at all would be to subscribe to the channel. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you next week. Probably going to focus a lot on code this week and not do a side video, and we'll see you at the next devlog.